you ever received a notice?
No notice. Only thing has come here. They placed a stop order on the land.
There are several houses not yet destroyed, and the government must invoke Section 4 of the Local Communities Improvement Act, similar to what they did at Red Hills Road for these residents here. And it must be done forthwith.
We have a solution despite the fact that you're not where you're supposed to be at the moment. Yeah? But as human beings, this is what we're going to do to try and resolve the problem and get a better solution to the situation that you are in, including me. Because guess what? As a people, you would have voted for somebody with an expectation to get something out of it, because nobody is doing nothing for nothing. You're expecting something when you do something, yeah? And people are hard working in this community, just as anywhere else in Jamaica, yeah? And this is where they earn their livelihood, from the hotels over here, right along the North Coast, yeah? And if you are you're a born Jamaican, how is it that something can happen to you so devastating and it appears as if it's nothing? Where's the humanitarian side of us? Where's the heart that you have in doing something like this to another human being? Had it been your sister or brother this morning, how would you have reacted? Tell me how you would have reacted in a situation like this. When I wake up and hear that my sister's house is down and she was not present, can't be present, impossible for her to be present, yeah? And to have this to deal, she's not crying. Crying is too mild a word. She's a bawl like a cow going to be slaughtered because she's not able to do anything for herself.
So the community continues
that way on both sides.
They stopped here.
Yes, this is where it stopped. This is where it stopped.
And have they said?
Yeah, they were stopped by the Mr. Gart and Mr. Meadows.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. They came and intervened.
Don't. I stopped them right here. Right here. And me. They told me that. So don't come here with the lies. Don't do it. Mr. Meadows. Right as we stop. Don't tell no lie.
So have they said what their intentions are? Have they said what their intentions are?
I have all the documents to show you. I can show you the boundaries.
Have they said they're coming back? Or
they said they're coming back. They told us that they will be back.
You know that there was a gazette was published. You know there was a gazette.
Yeah, under the housing act.
We tried to do all of it.
No, it's gazette.
Gaff knows all about it. He was part of the whole process.
There's one aspect of it that we're missing. Notwithstanding that there is private property rights, there is process and procedure.
Exactly.
So the government has a duty to maintain human dignity and deal with the processes, even as simple as the notice period.
Exactly.
Right? The particular issue that certainly needs to be addressed is the fact that there were at least 19 to 30 men who would have been detained at 3 a.m. for 13 hours. Fingerprints taken, photos taken, phones, right to privacy issues, breaches of the right to privacy, and just false imprisonment and wrongful detention. These are issues that touch and concern the government's responsibility.
My name is Nadisha Jones, and I've been living here for quite a while. Right?
What does that mean? Quite a while.
Years, from Trelawny Beach days.
Okay, so that's 30 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And we want to know where we go from here. Because my kids, if here, them know as home. Right? I have to them ball. Me a ball for all the baby mother them around here. You have some baby mother, 3-day-old, 5-day-old baby mother. You want to know what go on for them. Them broke down all the toilet, them and say, how the people them are going to survive. Them bring in CDA, me see come in yesterday. Because take up the people them business. So at that them bring, no one know if I that them bring.
I want to find out, have you ever received a notice?
No notice. Only thing has come here. They place a stop order on the land. And notice is different from a stop order.
We have to focus on not only the legal issues, but the moral issues as well. But let's focus on the legal issues. In terms of the legal issues, a judgment was handed down in 2016. After the judgment was handed down, it was the right of the government to appeal to the Privy Council. The government did not appeal to the Privy Council, which left these residents exposed.
Yeah.
In 2016, there was an incident at 85 and 85.5 Red Hills Road, similar to this. The government invoked Section 4 of the Local Communities Amenities Improvement Act that protected the residents in Red Hills Road. That option was also available to the government to do here. There are several houses not yet destroyed, and the government must invoke Section 4 of the Local Communities Improvement Act, similar to what they did at Red Hills Road for these residents here. And it must be done forthwith. It is the only way to prevent a further demolition. The PNP administration in 2014 sought to acquire the land compulsory, and there was a caveat that was lodged against the title. So there may still be that caveat. It's still on the title. And therefore that caveat affects the transfer or dealing with this said parcel of land. What we are witnessing here today is most inhumane. And the government cannot simply say that they are unable to assist the people. That is false, that is misleading, and that is not true. They have the tools available to them. The Local Communities Amenities Improvement Act was enacted in 1977 by Michael Manley because he foresaw circumstances like this. And I am calling on the government to immediately invoke that act to protect the residents that are to be impacted by demolition. And for those already impacted by demolition, a tent is not the solution. In fact, these tents appear to be the tents that were donated by the Japanese government for the people for Hurricane Melissa.
Yeah, who needs them?
Many of whom are still exposed to the elements. Any government that cares about the people would have been here already. And they'll run and come because the opposition is here. But I'm calling on all well-thinking Jamaicans to think carefully about what do you want for the future of this country.
We know that this particular piece of land has a long history and a complicated legal history. And my role here is not to try and get to the bottom of that today. But what has happened here is a calamity, a humanitarian calamity. And the first priority must be to restore the lives of the households who have had their homes destroyed yesterday. The government has brought some tents and provided other very interim forms of assistance, and it's a start. But the permanent relocation of those who have been displaced, in consultation with them, on lands where they can be permanently settled in a decent living condition is critical at this time, and the government must proceed. The matter of lands falls directly under the portfolio of the Prime Minister as Minister of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development. All of the land agencies of government fall under him. So he is in a position to expedite a solution to this crisis. And I'm calling on him to do so. Identify an appropriate location and make the necessary investments so that the people can be restored. That's the first issue. The second issue is the other households who are in jeopardy because the demolition was not complete yesterday, and they have expressed an intention to return to complete it. Now, while the Cooper's Pen property has sections of it with formal titled houses, there is another section which has very well established homes, concrete structures, properly built, but are in jeopardy because they don't have title for that. The question is, what is going to happen to them? And I would call on the government immediately to begin a process of negotiation on their behalf to try and find a solution. The fact of the matter is that the last PNP administration did attempt to create a community under the Housing Act for these people. It was gazetted by the Minister of Housing. However, it was contested by the owner, and the matter went to court, and in the Court of Appeal, the matter ended, and the community didn't get any form of protection from the court at that time. So it remains to the government to find a solution for them, and I'm calling on them to do so. And time is of the essence, because as we've seen, the methods being used by this particular whoever's behind this arrangement are extreme. There's an allegation that the police were deployed in the wee hours of the morning. The young men were arrested and detained in jail in Falmouth until the afternoon, and during that period when they were away from the community, the demolition, supported by and protected by the security forces, took place. And as we know, elderly people have lost their homes, baby mothers, children who are going to school, etc., are all now in a very vulnerable condition. So the third point I want to make is a policy issue, and it relates to how private rights, as protected by the court, are enforced against vulnerable communities. There needs to be a mechanism to ensure that this sort of thing doesn't happen. We're seeing it too often, both on public land. There was Clifton, there was an attempt in Pleasant Hill, in the Loidas Vale area, in, I believe, is it Albion in St. Thomas? Homes that were also demolished, and here at Cooper's Pen. So both on the public and private sector side, where you're going to be demolishing homes of people where they're vulnerable, children, elderly, women, etc. It cannot just be that the law takes its course in a totally unregulated way without taking into account and balancing the needs, the rights, constitutional and otherwise, of the citizens who are impacted. I believe there needs to be an inquiry into this process of how land rights are enforced in this country against residents who have been long-standing on property. As we know, private property in Jamaica, there's a 12-year limitation period, where if you're in adverse possession for over 12 years, you defeat the title of the prior owner. But we have instances where people may have been living for much longer than that on property and are still not having their rights protected because they are not in a position to do so themselves. These are persons who lack the means to utilize the legal system because they don't have the means to do so. So there needs to be a proper inquiry into this with a view to coming up with a policy that balances the rights of our citizens, protects private property rights, but also protects the rights of the people who are vulnerable and who the state is there to protect.
Never seen no old kids yet. Any conduct from the state that is not demonstrably justifiable in a free and democratic society means that it breaches the Constitution, and we must respect the Constitution in such a way that I am of the view that a restoration or a replacement, a relocation exercise by the government is something that must be considered and must be done swiftly. We must understand that many of us are still suffering from the Melissa experience. To come and see my brothers and sisters be placed in tents during hurricane season is unacceptable, and I don't want that to be lost. This is not just about property rights. They are human rights, and every Jamaican, the least among us, deserves that.